series about horizontal to people. We've been praying about our expectations of God and what his expectations are of us. And of course, that's the basis and foundation that we're working off of. Remember, we're working from that those 4 key sets that are the expectations that are going to keep us stable and steady and on biblical solid ground. And that was RISE. We're going to rise above our circumstances and relational strain. R, as we develop deeper relationship with the Lord. I, as we let him do his internal work within us. S, surrender to him in that process. And E, as he brings us to that. And so for really going deeper and understanding these horizontal relationships and how to relationships. Of course, we said last week that Jesus gave a new commandment and pretty much summed up all the commandments in this one commandment. Love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other. So that's a pretty tall order, isn't it? And we said that that's impossible apart from the Holy Spirit that is within us, the promise that he will enable us. All that in the New Testament, what has happened is that Paul has taken that one commandment and he has applied it to all different types of relationships. So Paul writes a lot about relationships, and we're going to look very pithy. So I've just picked out the most relevant verses for our conversation today. I'm not really sure what happened there, but the battery died. So should I stop this or should I just keep going? I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to speak loudly. So here's our passage. You can read along. It should be on page 2 of your yellow page, Ephesians 4, starting in verse 1. It says, lead a life worthy of your calling, for you have been called by God. Always be humble and gentle. Be patient with each other, making allowance for each other's faults because of your love. Make every effort to keep yourselves united in the Spirit, binding yourselves together with peace. Speak the truth in love, growing in every way more and more like Christ, who is the head of his body, the church. He makes the whole body fit together perfectly as each part does its own special work. It helps the other parts grow so that the whole body is healthy and growing and full of love. With the Lord's authority, I say this, live no longer as the Gentiles do, for they are hopelessly confused. Their minds are full of darkness. They wander far from the life God gives because they have closed their minds and hardened their hearts against him. Let the Spirit renew your thoughts and attitudes. Put on your new nature, created to be like God, truly righteous and holy. So stop telling lies. Let us tell our neighbors the truth, for we are all parts of the same body. And do not sin by letting anger control you. Don't let the sun go down on your anger or while you're still angry, for anger gives a foothold to the devil. Don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say be good and helpful so that your words will be an encouragement to those who hear them. So, wow, that is a handful of strategies, isn't it? But hopefully we're going to go through there and make this applicable to our relationships in our daily lives and how our expectations really do. Those are our beliefs, our deeply held convictions, and we want to bring those into alignment with the command of Jesus and these instructions from Paul. And one of the ways we're going to do that is by formulating expectations. We want to make them attainable. And Paul tells us that we are to do that from a heart of humility, patience, unity, and acceptance. And we're to keep in mind the other person. We talked a lot about differences among people last week. We want to keep those differences in mind. We talked about maturity, preferences, gift mix, skill sets. Each person brings a different mix to the table. And it's probably going to be different from yours. And so those things are going to impact what is doable. What's doable for that person. What you're expecting of one person may not be a realistic goal for another person that you're in a relationship with. And so we that they're biblical, that if I were in that person's marriage, it's a relationship. I'm going to give an example of this. Oh, I wanted to say everything that you were asking. So let's take the responsibility for our social life and to be kind of like the social chairman of the Giardo household. That is probably not a very realistic or attainable goal for him. For the first reason is because he is a true introvert. He would love to just plop down at the end of a work week, turn on a movie, and chill until time to go back on Monday. I mean, he really could do that. So I am really asking him to go against the grain if I'm asking him to take that responsibility on. And the other thing that's probably not very realistic is he has got a really full plate. He has a busy law practice and it takes up a lot of his attention, and he's kind of slow in his work. And so if I'm waiting on full plate, slow introvert to plan us a get together with another couple, I'm going to be waiting a while, So that's one silly example of being having an attainable expectation. It's just not very loving, really, to me or to him to expect something like that. Secondly, this is the part that starts to get fun. We want our expectations to be explainable, because we're going to need to explain them to the people we're in a relationship with. Kind of back there in our brain that we're not aware of. And so the first part of this is